Czaplinski with the latest local news, including a school bus driver arrested for dealing heroin, U.S. Senator Chris Murphy in Ridgefield and Trumbull today, and much more. Frank Renito will have a look at your forecast and a Nutmeg Sports update, and we will also have your look back on this day in history. But first, a Stratford man accused of using the school bus he drives to distribute heroin was arrested on Thursday. Stratford police have charged 29-year-old Garfield Howell with 4 counts of sale of narcotics, 2 counts of conspiracy to sell narcotics, and 1 count of risk of injury to a minor. Now, police said the Stratford Police Narcotics Vice and Intelligence Unit has been conducting a heroin investigation in town. And during the investigation, police said Howell was identified as a heroin dealer. Police said Howell drives a school bus for WE Transport. Now, during surveillance, police said Howell was observed on several occasions using that school bus to purchase and deliver heroin. Stratford police detectives, along with members of the Bridgeport Police Task Force, executed a search warrant on Thursday at 21318 Barnum Avenue, where 195 grams of heroin was seized. Howell was ordered held on a $100,000 bond and is scheduled to appear in court on April 18th. And in other news, the Reading Fire Department was called to a fire Thursday morning around 8:30 a.m. on Pocahontas Road. Now, according to initial reports, that fire broke out on a detached garage at that residence. Now, engines and tankers from all 3 Reading fire stations responded to that call, along with some assistance from Easton and Bethel. Now, there was significant fire and smoke damage to the interior of that house, according to the Reading volunteer firefighters. However, thankfully, there were no injuries. And the case against a former Easton EMT facing gun and voyeurism charges was transferred during a hearing on Thursday, April 5th in Bridgeport. State Superior Court Judge Kevin Doyle announced that the case against Christopher Barlow will be going to a gun docket, which handles firearms offenses, on Thursday, April 19th. Now, Barlow was represented by Public Defender Tanisha Williams, and when asked for comment as he was leaving the courtroom, he politely said no. Now, his bond was set at $25,000. Barlow was arrested Wednesday, March 21st on charges that include 2 counts of voyeurism. Now, one of the voyeurism counts alleges that Barlow took inappropriate photos of patients who were being transported in an ambulance while under his care as an EMT. Now, the images were found as Massachusetts authorities investigated complaints about Barlow last year. Barlow was also found to have placed cameras around the EMS building and to have recorded videos in a bathroom, resulting in the 2nd count of voyeurism. While Barlow, who is now 21 years old, was also charged by Easton police with 2 counts of stealing a firearm, illegal alteration of records, and providing false statements. And a Stratford Board of Education member was charged Thursday with sexually assaulting a teenage girl. The Connecticut Post reports that 45-year-old Robert DiLorenzo, a Democrat who was elected to the board in November, was charged with 4th-degree sexual assault and risk of injury to a minor. DiLorenzo's term on the school board runs to 2021. Now, the Connecticut Post reports that during DiLorenzo's arraignment hearing on Thursday afternoon, Superior Court Judge Kevin Doyle issued a protective order to DiLorenzo, who is married and has a son. Now, DiLorenzo is free on a promise to appear in court. The judge then continued his case to April 25th. Now, police say DiLorenzo assaulted a 13-year-old girl on a number of occasions while she was living with him at his Shepherd Street home in Stratford. Now, that girl, who is now in therapy, disclosed to a social worker back in October that she had been sexually assaulted by DiLorenzo, that according to police. And in other news, Connecticut state troopers are warning residents of a fallen officers fund scam. Now, oftentimes scams come disguised as charities, and scammers use recent tragedies or incidents to steal money from people. Well, today the Connecticut State Police was made aware of a telephone scam where the scammer is calling to seek donations for a fallen officers fund. Now, police say they've heard of a similar scam in the past, but not recently. Now, the department is currently mourning the death of Trooper Kevin Miller, so they say criminals are taking advantage of that. Well, unfortunately for the scammer, but fortunately for the rest of us, the person actually called a Connecticut state trooper. After listening to the scammer, that trooper started asking some questions, and the scammer provided 2 different names while stating that the company he worked for was out of Wyoming. Well, after identifying himself as a trooper and asking where the money would go, that scammer hung up. The trooper did call that number back, but the line didn't even ring. Now, troopers remind you to never give your credit card, debit card, or bank account information to anyone requesting donations, especially over the phone. They also say don't be pressured or guilted into donating, simply hang up. Now, anyone wishing to make a donation in memory of Trooper Kevin Miller can send a check payable to the Connecticut State Police Union, Inc., and please include Kevin Miller Memorial Fund in the check memo. For the address or a link to donate online, you can visit the Connecticut State Police Facebook page. And a Bridgeport police officer was suspended after he turned himself into Stratford police last week to face charges stemming from an incident last December. Now, John Carano turned himself into Stratford police on Monday, March 26th, and was charged with operating while under the influence, as well as failure to drive right, driving the wrong way, and second-degree assault with a motor vehicle. Stratford police say Carano was involved in a head-on 2-car accident shortly after midnight on December 23, 2017 on Broadbridge Avenue near Emerald Place. Now, a Stratford police investigation determined that the car operated by Carano was being driven the wrong side of the road. A warrant was issued for his arrest based on that investigation. The driver of the other vehicle, who was not identified, suffered injuries as a result of that crash. Carano was released on a $25,000 bond. According to state records, he is scheduled to return to Bridgeport Superior Court on April 16th. But taking a turn now, let's get a look at your forecast with Frank Granito. Frank.
All right, thank you, Kate. We're looking at probably another 90 minutes of snowfall around Fairfield County as it is coming down right now. Luckily, not sticking or accumulating too much right now. Temperatures could reach as high as 45 later on today. We should see mostly cloudy skies for the duration of the afternoon and evening. A chance overnight of a possible mix of rain or snow through the early hours of Saturday morning. Saturday, it looks like we won't have any snowfall after 7 a.m. Mostly cloudy during the day, a high of 47, and we could see some sunshine in the second half of the day. Sunday, partly sunny skies coming our way, a temperature range between 45 and 50 as we will head to the start of next week with mostly cloudy skies and temperatures right around 40 degrees. Not in the clear just yet. We could see another day like today at some point next week as well, Kate.
Thanks so much, Frank. And we are going to step out for a break, come back. We'll have a look back on this day in history, your Nutmeg Sports Update, and a lot more local news after this.
Get a fresh start to the new year by shaking up your meal routine. Walter Stewart's Market is your local source for a delicious selection of fresh and convenient salad shakers, like Southwest salad with chicken, Cobb with organic chicken, Power Vegan with fruit and quinoa, Greek salad with tabbouleh, and grilled shrimp with hominy. Grab one from our salad case or order from our deli today. Walter Stewart's Market, 229 Elm Street, New Canaan, or shop online at stewartsmarket.com.
Dr. Stephen Molinaro and Peter Healy of Family Practice Dentistry and Laser Dental Care have served Ridgefield for over 22 years. Experienced staff offer gentle drillless techniques, preventative care, and cosmetic procedures in a relaxed environment. Grateful for the community's trust and support through the years, new patients and their families are welcome. Call today.
I've had Newtown Savings Bank my whole life. You don't have to worry about talking to a machine. You're talking to real people. You're getting real help. I'm banking local, and I'm loving it.
Get a fresh start.
Welcome back to this April 6th edition of your Coffee Break on the HAN Network. Donald Lang out today, but he did leave us with a look back on this day in history, so we're going to throw it over to Frank Granito for that right now. Frank.
Well, I want to say thank you to Don as we've got a couple of big firsts in the sports history world, but let's go back to 1199, and the Lionheart, King Richard I of England, dies from an infection following the removal of an arrow from his shoulder. There he is, pardoning the archer who wounded him. It is unlikely that a pardon was upheld following his death. Richard reigned for 10 years, but spent only 6 months of that time in England. The rest spent crusading, crushing rebellions in France, and as a prisoner of war. If you're a fan of English football, the national team's crest has 3 lions on it. That is an ongoing tribute to Richard. to 1888. Thomas Green Clemson dies, and having outlived his wife and all 4 of his children, bequeaths his estate to the state of South Carolina to establish an agricultural college. Today, Clemson University enrolls 23,000 students in 9 colleges. Notable alumni include former South Carolina Governors David Beasley and Nikki Haley, Hooters restaurant chain founder Robert Brooks, and former pro football players Dwight Clark and William Refrigerator Perry. Of course, Clemson also national champions 2 years ago in college football. 1896, the first modern Olympic Games are officially opened. 1,500 years after the original games are banned by Roman Emperor Theodosius I. Athletes from 14 countries competed in 43 events. Winners received a silver medal, runner-ups receiving copper. Tradition of gold, silver, and bronze medals would not begin until 1904, and women were first allowed to compete starting with the 1900 Olympic Games in London. Finally now, we go to 1973 for this.
Fortunately, these guys are making probably 100,000 times more than what I made, but I saved a lot of guys' careers and a lot of wealthy guys that all the DAs got their own airplanes and stuff, where I still have to take the bus.
Why did you think it was a joke?
It's a glorified pitch hitter, to be honest with you, back then. Nobody ever felt that the DAs was ever going to be in existence.
Designated hitter in Major League history, drawing a bases-loaded walk against Louis Tiant in a game at Fenway Park. Bloomberg was actually a career .293 hitter, although injuries limited him to just 461 games over 8 seasons. Although he is something of a baseball footnote, his photo and a bat from that first DH appearance are enshrined in the Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York. That will do it for your look back on this day in history for Friday, April 6th. I'm Frank Granito, and we're going back over to Kate.
All right, thanks so much, Frank. Well, in other local news, Ridgefield police have reported that 2 cars were stolen from residences on Farmingville Road and Limekill Road Sunday night or early Monday morning. Now, according to a press release Monday, April 2nd, 2 other cars in the area were also broken into and rummaged through that night. Now, police advised residents to, of course, lock their vehicles, remove all valuables from inside the car, and to report any suspicious activity to police as soon as possible. Now, police also said that the report did not say whether anything was taken from the 2 cars that were broken into. Police did not respond to a request for comment on the stolen cars by press time Wednesday, but the 2 stolen cars mark the first car thefts of the year. 16 cars were reported stolen by the Ridgefield Press in 2017, many of them taken from residential driveways with the keys left inside the cars. Well, while police did not say whether they had any leads on the 2 stolen cars Sunday night, the thefts fit the pattern of a group of thieves based in Waterbury who target unlocked cars in affluent communities with keys and other valuables left inside. Well, asked about the rise in car thefts last November, Police Captain Jeff Kreitz said that the group often uses those cars to commit other crimes, typically credit card theft. And in other news, New Canaan Police Chief Leon Krolikowski is warning residents that police are receiving reports that checks of New Canaan residents are being stolen, altered, and cashed out of state. Now, the chief said that Fairfield County has seen an increase in these crimes, with both residential and postal drop mailboxes being targeted by thieves. Now, he said whenever possible, residents should bring mail that contains checks or sensitive financial documents directly to the local post office. He said residents are urged to report suspicious activity near mailboxes directly to his department, and they can reach them at 203-594-3500. And Hearst, Connecticut media reports that a bill that would begin the process of selling legal marijuana in Connecticut passed a key legislative committee on Thursday and now heads to the House for a first-ever vote. The 27-4 vote by the General Assembly's Appropriations Committee broke mostly along party lines, with majority Democrats in support and Republicans mostly opposed. Now, some Republicans supported continuing the discussion but offered no guarantee that they would vote for legal pot on the House or the Senate floor. And Weston officials are looking for help finding a dog's owner. An English Labrador dog was found roaming on Valley Forge Road in Weston last Friday, March 30th. Now, the dog is currently under the care of Weston Animal Control, but if you're familiar with this dog or have any inquiries, you can contact Weston Animal Control Officer Peter Reed at 203-943-0985. And in other news, U.S. Senator Chris Murphy was in Ridgefield this morning and took the time to recognize some Ridgefield youth. Now, Scotland Elementary School third grader Ruby Labazo-Wiener and Ridgefield High School sophomore Lane Murdoch were both honored by Senator Murphy at St. Stephen's Church this morning. Now, Lane Murdoch is the organizer of the National School Walkout movement following those Parkland shootings. Well, here is Murphy talking more about Ruby's contribution. Take a look.
About Ruby first. So Ruby wrote our office one of the most beautiful letters that we have gotten, talking about her desire to try to make a difference in the world. And she found this amazing way to make a difference on two things that she cared about. And Ruby, you are 8. In third grade. I have a third grader too, so I know that third graders have lots of great ideas. And here's Ruby's idea was to take a plant that is mainly found in Puerto Rico, right, and use it to create a new way to hold soda beverage containers together. And the idea was that you could do something great for the environment, taking all that plastic out of the world, and do something that would be good for Puerto Rico, that could bring jobs to the island. And it's really one of the greatest ideas I've heard of. And so Ruby...
Now, the Ridgefield Press has some more video of Murphy's comments at theridgefieldpress.com. And Senator Murphy is also in Trumbull today, and you can get more at TrumbleTimes.com. But let's throw it back over to Frank Granito now for your Nutmeg Sports Update. Frank.
All right, thank you, Kate. Finally, a nice day around the county, so plenty of action taking place on Thursday afternoon around the FCIAC. A big win for New Canaan baseball, thanks in large part to a 2-run home run from Grant Morse in the bottom of the 6th inning as the Rams take down New Fairfield 4-3. Darien blanks NFA 1-0 behind a stellar pitching performance by Justin Jordan, who went 5 innings, surrendering just 1 hit with 6 strikeouts. Norwalk on top of Bethel 3-2. Ridgefield outlasts Ludlow 6-4, and Brian McMahon blanking Career 11-0. Huge matchup in girls lacrosse as New Canaan takes down the Wilton Warriors 6-4. Two teams many expect to play a big role in this year's FCIAC championship chase, so the Rams getting the best of the Warriors early on. Trumbull dominates Stanford 17-6. Staples rolling McMahon 17-2. Darien cruises 12-3 past St. Joe's. Ridgefield over Norwalk 15-3. And Ward edging Ludlow in a crosstown rivalry game 7-6. But they would be avenged, those Lady Falcons, by the boys team at Fairfield Ludlow, who got the best of Fairfield Ward 11-10 in their rivalry game. St. Joe's edging out Brian McMahon 6-4 in boys lac. New Canaan blanks Trinity Catholic 17-0. Staples over Stanford 19-3. And all eyes tonight turn to the number 2 team in the nation, Darien, when they host Power from the West, Torrey Pines, California, in a big anticipated matchup at 6:30 from the Darien Stadium. It'll be the first ever night game at Darien in boys lacrosse program history. We'll be on the air at 6:25 and look forward to being joined by you then. For now, we'll send you back over to Kate.
All right, thanks so much, Frank. And we're going to step out for a break, come back, and recap some of the top stories we're following after this.
Voted Best Gourmet to Go in Fairfield County, Palmer's extensive menu offers everything you'll need to make your next event easy and delicious. Whether you're hosting a small get-together or planning a large celebration, they've got you covered breakfast through dessert. Order online at palmersdarien.com or call 203-655-2077.
Welcome back to this Friday edition of your Coffee Break on the HAN Network. I'm Kate Czaplinski, and we're following some breaking news out of Stratford this morning. Now, police there are investigating a fatal accident that occurred sometime overnight Friday. Now, Captain Frankie Anati said that accident happened on Lordship Boulevard near Access Road. He confirmed that one person has died as a result of that wreck, but it's unclear how many vehicles were involved or if there are any other injuries. Now, you can follow updates and get more information on that story as it becomes available at stratfordstar.com. And in other Stratford news, a local man accused of using the school bus he drives to distribute heroin was arrested on Thursday. Stratford police have charged 29-year-old Garfield Howell with 4 counts of sale of narcotics, 2 counts of conspiracy to sell narcotics, and 1 count of risk of injury to a minor. Now, police said the Stratford Police Narcotics, Vice, and Intelligence Unit had been conducting a heroin investigation in town. Well, during the investigation, police said that Howell was identified as the heroin dealer. Police said Howell drives a school bus for WE Transport. During surveillance, police said Howell was observed on several occasions using a school bus to purchase and deliver heroin. Stratford police detectives, along with members of the Bridgeport Police Task Force, executed a search warrant Thursday on Barnum Avenue, where 195 grams of heroin was seized. Now, Howell was ordered held on a $100,000 bond and is scheduled to appear on April 18th in Bridgeport Superior Court. And the Reading Fire Department was called to a fire Thursday morning around 8:30 a.m. on Pocahontas Road. According to initial reports, that fire broke out on a detached garage at the residence. Now, engines and tankers from all 3 Reading fire stations responded to the call, along with some assistance from Easton and Bethel. Now, there was significant fire and smoke damage to the interior of that house, according to Reading volunteer firefighters. However, there were no injuries reported. And the case against a former Easton EMT facing gun and voyeurism charges was transferred during a hearing on Thursday in Bridgeport. State Superior Court Judge Kevin Doyle announced that the case against Christopher Barlow will be going to a gun docket, which handles firearms offenses, on Thursday, April 19th. Now, Barlow was represented by Public Defender Tanisha Williams, and when asked for comment as he was leaving the courtroom, he politely said no. Now, his bond was set at $25,000. Barlow was arrested on Wednesday, March 21st on charges that include 2 counts of voyeurism. One of those voyeurism counts alleges that Barlow took inappropriate photos of patients who were being transported in an ambulance while under his care as an EMT. Now, the images were found as Massachusetts authorities investigated complaints against Barlow last year. Barlow was also found to have placed cameras around the EMS building and to have recorded videos in a bathroom, resulting in that 2nd count of voyeurism. Well, Barlow, who's now 21 years old, was charged by Easton Police with 2 counts of stealing a firearm, illegal alteration of records, and providing false statements. And a Stratford Board of Education member was charged Thursday with sexually assaulting a teenage girl. The Connecticut Post reports that 45-year-old Robert DiLorenzo, a Democrat who was elected to the board in November, was charged with 4th-degree sexual assault and risk of injury to a minor. DiLorenzo's term on the school board runs to 2021. Now, the Connecticut Post reports that during DiLorenzo's arraignment hearing on Thursday afternoon, Superior Court Judge Kevin Doyle issued a protective order to DiLorenzo, who is married and has a son. Now, DiLorenzo is free on a promise to appear in court. The judge continued that case to April 25th. Well, police say DiLorenzo assaulted a 13-year-old girl on a number of occasions while she was living with him at his Shepherd Street, Stratford home. That girl, who is now in therapy, disclosed to a social worker back in October that she had been sexually assaulted. And Connecticut state troopers are warning residents of a fallen officers fund scam. Now, oftentimes scams come disguised as charities, and scammers use recent tragedies or incidents to steal money from people. Well, just yesterday, the Connecticut State Police were made aware of a telephone scam where the scammer called seeking donations for a fallen officers fund. Police say they've heard of similar scams in the past, but not recently. Now, the department is currently mourning the death of Trooper Kevin Miller, so they say criminals are taking advantage of that. Well, unfortunately for the scammer, but fortunately for the rest of us, that person actually called a Connecticut State Trooper. After listening to the scammer, that trooper started asking some questions. The scammer provided 2 different names while stating that the company he worked for was out of Wyoming. After identifying himself as a trooper and asking where that money would go, that scammer hung up. The trooper did make an attempt to call back, but that line didn't even ring. Now, troopers remind you to never give credit card, debit card, or bank account information to anyone requesting donations, especially over the phone. And don't be pressured or guilted into donating. Simply hang up. Anyone wishing to make a donation in memory of Trooper Kevin Miller can get more information at the Connecticut State Police Facebook page. But all right, let's throw it back over to Frank Granito now for one final look at your forecast. Frank.
All right, again, Kate, we're starting to see that snowfall come to an end now. It might turn into a light drizzle for a period here. This is about 20 minutes ago, what it looked like out over Route 8. Temperatures in the mid-40s expected later on this afternoon. Partly cloudy for most of the afternoon. Could potentially see some sunshine briefly. Cloudy overnight. There's a chance for a little more rain or snow mixture heading into Saturday morning. Luckily, though, it looks like we won't have any more snow tomorrow on Saturday. The last part of precipitation, expected around 7 a.m. Temperatures in the mid-40s tomorrow. Clouds could give way to sunshine later on in the day. Partly cloudy overnight, and then partly sunny skies expected Sunday with temperatures in the mid-40s. We're back tonight on the HAN Network, 6:25 from Darien Stadium. Darien and Torrey Pines in boys lacrosse. We're looking forward to seeing you then. For now, we'll send it back over to Kate.
All right, thanks so much, Frank. And we're going to wrap things up here on your coffee break. We will see you Monday at 11 with the latest local news and more. Have a great weekend.